Oh, sorry, I was going in on today's episode because it's another Mental Health Monday. It's another Monday, and we got one of my good homies, MC Rota, on today with us. What up, buddy?
What up? Thanks for having me. This is fun.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah,
We all look the same.
We do.
The three of us look very similar.
Beards and glasses are
Beards and glasses.
they're in. I actually need to get new ones. I broke mine, so they're adhesive or something.
They're adhesive. Yeah, I've been there.
I epoxied them back together because they broke. But yes, Rhoda, long time no see, my dude.
I know, man.
How's life treating you up there in Chicago, right?
Life's good. Life's good. Busy but good.
Yeah, that's what we hear a lot about Chicago and any friend that's been from up there. And
I miss Champagne. I love Champagne.
I don't know, man. I haven't really been out in Champagne. It's kind of dead nowadays in some places.
Champagne as well. I feel like the whole world is like, we're not sure if we're allowed to go places or not.
Well, we are right now considered a hot spot again.
Oh, you are?
CDC, yeah. So that my job seems to be the only job in town that's like, hey, let's wear our masks again. So I've been vibing with that. But yeah, I wanted to have you on here with the depression talk and the mental health awareness month we got going down right now because you got a lot of good shit. Right before we were going to go on, it's like I said, I saw one of your songs on Spotify was at like 30,000 streams there.
Oh, yeah.
The
song about
funerals?
Six funerals. Yeah.
I like that one. Like, I know it's definitely a deep song. But like, I remember when you recorded that for your album, and I was like, "Yo, that giving me like Jim Morrison vibes." Doors, like,
yeah, I remember you telling me that.
It really does, though, man. That's some dope shit, bro.
I listened to it earlier. I fuck with it.
Oh well, thank you. I really appreciate that.
What's the process like? So, like, if you're going in to write like a poem,
yeah. I don't know. I feel like I've just gotten through writer's block recently. So I'm trying to think like, I feel like it needs like you need like a good first line and then you're okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like people say, like there's nothing scarier than a blank page. Like before you have anything, I think it's really hard. Yeah. But once you think of like a good first line, especially if you're rhyming, because then it's like you rhyme with that, and it kind of like dictates the trajectory of the song.
Right.
I also feel like sometimes, I don't know, I feel like usually for me, if it's something that is going to be good, I write it like very quickly.
Right.
Like
yeah.
The first draft and then edit it maybe like forever. But the first draft is like half an hour. Like it like just like comes out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
then like you improve it from there. But if it's I feel like the things that I like have to come back to and like can't really get going, like they don't wind up as good.
Well, do you know when you're like, because a lot of your stuff is like, more on the down spectrum, of shit, especially when we're crossing over into the music.
Sure.
But like, do you set to do that? Is that like a point? Like when you're going in, you're like, all right, like I got some shit I need to process basically.
So it's funny because I actually like find the process of writing so uplifting that it almost like doesn't matter what I'm writing about. Like if I'm writing about like everyone I love dying, I'd be like, great mood because I'm writing. You know what I mean? Like it almost like it could be like gibberish in ways. Or I guess more if I write something and I'm proud of it, it's like that is then what I like feel more than whatever the substance of the thing is. I mean, I think, yeah, if I'm feeling shitty, I'll start writing to process it. I think often it's like I'm not feeling shitty anymore, but maybe I like was feeling shitty a week ago. So you kind of have like motivation to write, but also like a little bit of perspective.
True.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's mostly, but for me, I think it's mostly therapeutic in the way that like working out is therapeutic more than the way like keeping a diary is therapeutic, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it's therapeutic just because you're doing something that like kind of gets the blood pumping and is like exciting more than it is like writing the thing helps me think about it in a certain way.
I vibe with that.
Definitely. We've talked before on the show about writing stuff when you're in a certain mind state. You know, maybe you're in a worse place in life and maybe you're pulling from that while you're writing something. And later in life, having to come back to that, how that can be hard when you're in a different mental space.
It's also interesting when other people, like, you might read something or perform something where you wrote it, either you wrote it like 5 years ago or you wrote it like about 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like, it's like, I always, if I perform, I think people, I definitely like struggle with mental health, but I also am like happy a lot. So it's like, I feel like whenever I perform, people will be like, man, like, I don't want people to like worry about me after I perform, but I'm worried people are gonna be like, man, like that guy like needs some help. I mean, which I do.
I never got those vibes.
But like not necessarily in the way that like, you know, so severely.
No, I just always liked your, like, especially with the music, you always had a unique, like you were saying, like you were always there, like more to vibe with everybody and write, and you're like, I'm just happy to write, and then you just go in there and just spit some fire about, you know, fuck the banks and shit, and it'd be like, damn, you know, like I liked it because you guys were all, you know, very aware people, very, you weren't afraid to speak your mind as far as, you know, what issues you felt was needed to speak upon.
Well, I feel like you and I were kind of like the yin and yang of Rogue Tendency.
Yeah.
Because like you kind of like, not in a shallow way, but you would like be like, you know, even if life is hard, it's joyful.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, no, it's hard.
Yeah. It sucks, yeah. But it'll get better maybe. Okay. But no, like I, you know, and it's a different ball game too, especially like when you want to talk about like, you know, like writing something, like, you know, going on your 6 funerals thing, you know, how was that like going and performing that for people?
Yeah, it was kind of like, it's actually interesting. Yeah, so it's actually like pretty emotional to perform, but I will say like it's almost the same thing. Like once I'm done with the performance, the main feeling I have is the rush of performing, more than the mood of the actual piece. Right. I'll also say like that's a thing. I don't know if this ever happens to you guys, but it's like I'll be like, I want to write this poem. Like there was a period in my life which I wrote that about where like a lot of people died, like a year and a half, where I went just like, I mean, like I say in the song, it was like just a lot of people I died, people I was close to, people I like kind of used to talk to and don't anymore. And it was like, I want to write a poem about this period of time. But it's like, I feel like I would like try and try and try. And it's like, it was never quite there.
Right.
And then it's like, you kind of eventually find it. So in a way, it's like, I mean, I wound up writing it about like 5 years before I, like 5 years before I wrote the poem. But I feel like it was, in a way, it was sort of like the 100th draft, because I like kept trying to do different poems about it. And like some of them, I think there was like one or two other good ones.
Right.
But it was like, that was like, oh, I've been trying to write this poem, and like this is what I've been trying to say.
No, yeah, I vibe with that. I've definitely with my own songs have done that, when it's like you really want a specific, you want to talk about something real specific.
Yeah.
It's almost like you turn into like a kind of a perfectionist over it, because it's like, no, that's not it. To where a lot of the songs I really dig that I've done have been, I'm just more so vibing out to this instrumental I'm listening to, and it's just like, it just comes. It's natural.
Right, exactly.
It's out.
Especially with mental health, because I feel like it's easy with mental health. It's like, you don't want to deflect, but you also don't necessarily want to make shit that's like super emo, just because it can be kind of like myopic and kind of like boring if you're just like, I'm sad, and it's just like all about like, if there's like no, I don't know, like if there's no Like if you like lose, like it's good to, I feel like if you're writing, it's good to have like reality. Like it's good to like be in a place or like talk about the world around you, not just be like, I feel this and I feel this and I feel this and I feel this.
Right.
Or like to have humor in it, like things like that. But I feel like often like I'll be like, oh, I want to write this poem about mental health, and they'll all come out like super like sad bastard. And it'll be kind of like cathartic to write, but I'm like, I hate it. And then like eventually you can like integrate humor or like put it in a certain setting or something, and then it like.
Well,
But I
yeah.
think it can take a long time to get there.
Well, and it's like
Contradiction of what I said before. Yeah.
I feel that because we're writing scripts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like if you were wanting to write, like I know you wrote the first thing big thing you shot, right, was about mental health. This.
So the holiday cheer.
Yeah. And that's one of those that's like, you don't want to put too much. You don't want to leave people like, oh, now life does suck and all that stuff.
Right.
Because you got to have that moving on, inspiration in there too. The little humors, to pick people up.
Yeah.
That's what I thought of as well when you said trying to say something very specific with what you're doing. And with that project in particular, I was trying to say something specific about the holidays. Because I remember when I first wrote the script, one of the people who gave me feedback on it was like, oh, well, I think you should talk a little bit more about like the consumerism problem around the holidays. Well, that has nothing to do with this.
Right, but that's not what it's about.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's not an issue. I'm just saying
right. No, totally.
An issue. That's not what we're talking about.
Right. No, totally.
About how people put on a happy face for the holidays, pretend like everything's okay. And it was definitely like a dark comedy because it's one of those things that when you lay it out, like it's filled with relatable moments that people have gone throughout all these different holidays. But to see it laid out like that, it's absurd. Like to see it, you're like, this is ridiculous, but it happens all the time, and this is exactly what we do. So you definitely, I don't know, I think humor definitely helps with that kind of stuff.
I mean, I feel like good humor is like based in relatability, right? Like it's funny because it like strikes you as so true, but like someone put it in like a little bit of a different way than the way you think of it. So I feel like shit can be like super, super sad, but also like funny because it's honest or because it's like absurd or I don't know. Yeah.
One of my favorite comedy things I saw last year, one of my favorite pieces of art at all last year was Bo Burnham's Inside.
I haven't watched it, but I've heard it's amazing.
It's incredible. I even saw it in a movie theater. And
wow.
It was fantastic.
Nice.
And it's just, he does get into such deep, uncomfortable stuff that but like you're just feeling so many things, but it's still coming from this place of humor. And my best friend and I both are people who we consider ourselves comedians, like first and foremost, most of the time, because we love cracking jokes and stuff. But that's definitely become like our survival mechanism. We use humor to get through all of these things. And when you think about it, like a lot of the greatest comedians of our times are some of the saddest, darkest people out there, So there's definitely something to that, using humor to deal with your mental health.
I have trouble going to like comedy open mics because I find them so sad. Like not like as a criticism, but I just find them like the stuff people talk about it. Like I can watch movies about the Holocaust, but I like can't go to a comedy open mic. It's just like it's too real.
Too real.
It's like too human and like yeah.
But I like the stuff like on your new album when you're talking about that and you're saying like the mental health and stuff. I did even just scrolling through the track names, it's like it's funny. You do have humor in that, like keeping friends as an adult, or making friends, fucking hard. And it hit that. It's like you ain't expecting to get that in a hip hop song. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because like what you're saying. Like to me, it's the hip hop in general. It's like you got a crew, you got a squad. I'm not alone. I'm popular. Everybody. And then here's
the funny thing about the pandemic, right? It's like now everybody's just writing music about being by themselves all day, or like being not by. I mean, I live with my partner, but it's like being like we're inside. Like I see one other person.
The best thing in life are things. It's true.
I mean, that's really true. It's not like, yesterday I was driving back from Indianapolis and I took the scenic route right there, like getting to see country and stuff and being like, damn, this actually looks real nice. Everything's alive right now. Something like summer's about to hit in like a month, I think, right? In June. Yeah, that's when summer hits. So like, that's definitely true. But yeah, keeping friends as an adult is fucking hard, and that's still
weird, especially during the pandemic. It's weird.
It is, and it is weird because like I don't get it either. I feel like people are, I don't know, too afraid or something. Like, cause I'm like, I don't know. Like for me, I guess I just don't feel like doing a fucking thing. So like if I meet like somebody new and they're like, come on, come out tonight, let's go do this. I'm like,
yeah,
you gotta mow my yard, bro. Like shit, it's hot.
Right.
Right.
And it's also like, I don't know. It's like I feel like at certain points of our lives, like in like high school, you like hang out with like you're like with friends. I mean, I guess that's like somewhat similar to a job if you like your coworkers or whatever. But it's like, but it's also just like then after school, even if you like have shit to do, you like walk home with friends or you like hang out with a few. It's like you're constantly like with people, and then like when you're an adult, you have to like plan seeing someone for like an hour a month in advance.
Yeah.
And then you're probably like, oh shit, I was feeling good when I made those plans. Now
and then it's like, oh, I'm tired because I'm fucking old. Like, no, I don't want to hang out for an hour.
But like, yeah, I vibe with that for the good time, baby. Everybody should. I mean, if you want to smoke,
weed makes me depressed as hell. It just affects different people differently.
It does. I remember you always said that back when we were doing the road.
That's why I never smoked with you guys. I used to love smoking weed, not love, but like I used to enjoy it.
He'd be like, "You think I'm sad now? Just wait until I smoke. I'll get real sad."
For real.
I'm always a devil's advocate on weed and mental health because it's. I think that it helps in some ways, and I think it hinders in some ways. And again, it just depends on who you are and how you're using it and everything like that. But it's definitely not something that I'm like, that's the go-to. It's going to fix you right up. Like it might help with some stuff, but it might exacerbate some stuff. So
it might show you some truths you're not ready for.
I don't want those truths, Shep. I don't want them. Like, keep those truths away.
But I do dig, like I said, I did dig about like even like your new stuff and like we're hitting, we're old as fuck. Okay. Maybe not so much him, but like I'm in my mid-30s now too. And it's like, some people might cling on to that, image of when we're younger and out doing this, going to clubs and doing that. And then here you come along and just, it's real, like you're saying, you got the 40 song, you know what I'm saying? You got some real shit. Like I'm at that stage in my life too. Like I want to hear some dad rap. I want to hear about dude fucking mowing his lawn and shit, like let me put that on when I'm mowing my I might fuck around and make a song about mowing the lawn now. Just so I can jam that.
I know Grant has that song about going to the grocery store.
Right. Yeah. Just normal everyday things because it's like, I don't know. I like the realness about it.
Well, that's like, I feel like some rappers, I mean, it depends. Some really pull it off. But like, I kind of like Jay-Z is like, Jay-Z does not pretend he's a 21-year-old drug dealer when he's like a 50-year-old billionaire. Right.
Right.
But like with like a wife and a kid and like a business to run and like, yeah. And it's like, I like it. I don't know. He has like his arc, the arc of his music tracks his life in like what seems like an accurate way. I mean, some people pull it off. Like some people are like Clips is still like all they rap about is dealing drugs and they're like in their 50s. And I actually like sat next to somebody I got to talking about hip hop with somebody I sat next to on a plane. It's like older white lady. And she was like, oh yeah, they like live in my neighborhood. They're like these like family men in my neighborhood. And it's like they can pull off, I don't know, they like have a thing and they just like rap about dealing drugs. And like they're really good at rapping about dealing drugs, even though they probably like haven't dealt drugs for a really, really long time.
I mean, to each their own. I mean, I rap about but see, like mine's like I like to establish like, my shit's different. Like I like Halloween, so around Halloween I'm gonna put out some Halloween music.
Yeah, you love Halloween.
I ain't out here killing children, but I'll rap about killing.
Right. Totally.
But then it's like, I just put out some stuff around 420. It's like now you're getting the realness. You're getting I'm getting stoned, I'm fucking smoking, I'm fucking chilling, I'm gonna rap about Batman and all that kind of stuff. And I think I like keeping it real. So like when I get to see these other artists, that's like you really can tell they're keeping it real too. We need more of that shit.
And that's how it is. I mean, I love weird shit. I mean, horror, sci-fi, all sorts of stuff. Like, I'll take it strange for sure, but it's always the realness at the root of those stories that makes them my favorite. Like, I've seen that Everything Everywhere All at Once like almost 5 times now.
I haven't seen it yet, but I need to.
It's bonkers. It's absolutely bizarre. But at the same time, the realness is like, it's heavy. There's a lot of realness that it dumps on you. And their previous movie, Swiss Army Man, was the same way. Like, if you can get past the fact that Daniel Radcliffe is like a farting, talking corpse, and just ride the weirdness of this movie, like the payoff at the end is beautiful because it's all just about, like, why can't we just be ourselves around each other? It's such a beautiful movie. It's like the directors, when they pitched it to Paul Dano, they were like, the first part will make you laugh and the last part will make you cry. And that's such an accurate depiction of that film.
Yeah. Have you guys seen American Vandal?
No, but I know what it is.
It's like, right, because it's like a satire of true crime. So in the first episode of each season, so in the first episode of the first season, the crime is that a kid drew dicks on the windshields of all the teachers in the school. And in the second season, the crime is someone put laxatives in the lemonade. So people are just like shitting all over the place. And it's like the first few episodes of each season are like so dumb and hilarious. And by the end, you're like crying. You're like it's like the realest, most like serious shit. Even though they're still just like talking about dicks, like they're just talking about dicks, and it's like the most heart wrenching talking about dicks ever.
Well, I feel like Rick and Morty is very much that. It's like it talks about very deep, real things and disguises it in all this fucking dick humor and sci-fi.
Yeah.
They even talk about dicks. Humans, they love talking about their dicks and stuff. It's good shit. But no, I mean, I do appreciate that stuff that kind of throws it. Comic books are always like that and stuff. A lot of action, a lot of pizzazz, but then it just hits you with some realness, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, as a writer, those are my favorite stories to write too. I mean, like you were saying earlier, like if something just feels right, something's good. Like if I start writing a story, I'm just feeling it. I'm just gonna sit there and write it, and it pretty much writes itself at a certain point when the ideas are just flowing, and those are usually the ones that stick with me because they're about something or they mean something to me. In some way, shape, or form, even if it's just for entertainment, even if I'm just proud of the work at hand. But I, like you were saying earlier about the rush of writing and not really feeling that weight of what content is. That I agree for sure.
Well, what's interesting with comics is like, I mean, I don't know a ton about comics, but I know it's like Captain America was written by like Jewish immigrants after World War II, and like there's a lot of like comics that are like written about like not wanting people to know you're a mutant, that are written by like queer people, and like I don't know, like people like use it to like say some like really personal shit.
They did, man, and there was a lot of that. That's why I always like laughing, like, what are they showing our children these days and stuff, people? Because it's like, when we were kids, it was there. It's just
right.
You if you could get that context, you got it. Like with the X-Men, you got that. Like you got the segregations of like race and people.
Yeah, totally.
They had to hide out and all this stuff, and the hate and whatnot. And you just understood that, and it's like, man, it's always been around.
Right.
It's like it's just you guys didn't give a fuck until the news said, hey, give a fuck.
Right. Yeah, you can't really hide shit from kids for too long.
But I know you produced your last album as well. How was that process? Because I've done the same with my last two now.
It was, I've done it with like 2 EPs. I haven't done like a full length. It's so fun because you just have like total, maybe I'm like a control freak. I don't know. You have like total creative control. And you also can like, because there's like a lot of ways to be creative, right? Like you can write creative lyrics, but then it's also like, oh, you're going to push the envelope by like putting it on like a really like bizarre soundscape,
Right.
or like, yeah. And you can kind of just like keep, I mean, I know this can be a problem for artists, like where you just like never finish revising, but it's also kind of fun, right? Where you're like, maybe I can put these sounds in here, and no, maybe I could like put the, or like, you know, like you'll have a beat that's the same for like 16 bars, and you're like, there's nothing stopping. Like I'm not just taking, I'm not like using someone else's beat from YouTube, right? Like I can do whatever I want. Like I can make this beat switch like every 2 bars, or just like put more weird shit in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's liberating.
That's what I was about to say. It's a very liberating feeling when you're, especially like, because you know you'll have friends make you stuff, you know you'll do, but like to be able to, yeah, like, because you know I was in the process, almost finished with songs, and it's like you'll be listening to one and be like, a little cutout right there would be really nice.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Or just like everything else, but just, you know, keep the bass right. You know what I'm saying? And you can go do that right there. It really helps you craft your own voice. I felt
Oh, totally.
like more so than I had, and it's like, damn, I'm laughing because it's like, damn, I, you know, did this shit for 18 years before I started making the beats.
Yeah, and it's, I also think that like mixing, I mean, I'm not like a, I don't like really know how to mix and master, but doing that yourself is like, so like putting like weird effects on vocals, or like just like cutting things up and rearranging them is just like so fun. And like such a, I don't know, because I feel like I had writer's block for a while, but like the creative stuff I was doing was like that,
Right.
which also kind of like scratches the itch.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Because yeah, that's a lot what we got going on over here. Kind of is like that. It's like, you know, the music, like for me, it's like the music starts churning up a lot when we're filming and we're doing this. It's like the creativity just starts spreading.
Yeah, exactly.
Spreading to everybody around us. Next thing you know, everybody. And it's a good way to get swamped too. If you're like us and you're like, oh, I want to do that. Yeah, that sounds good. I want to do that. Fuck yeah,
Totally.
that's good. And the next thing you know, you got like 20 projects on the table.
And it's so hard to fit. It's so hard to finish things.
It is. It's hard, but like, I don't know. To me, it was more, for me, it was more anxiety based when I was doing, because like my Halloween thing I did last year was the first thing I'm like, I want to basically do this whole album from scratch. I don't want to use beats. I don't want, and it had to do with, I think it was right before that. I wrote what I thought was a killer ass track, and I was going to go buy this beat. And so I was going to buy the beat. I hit Chase up like, hey, will you record this video for me? He's like, yeah, we can record a music video. I got a t-shirt to wear, everything in place. And I'm like, I'm going to go buy the beat now. And then we're going to like, then I'll be able to put it on Spotify and all the stuff. We can make a, you know, video. And somebody else had bought it in like a week that it was up on YouTube. And I was pissed. And because I Shazammed it. And I just really thought that my song was a lot better. And that was like the moment that I was like, you know, like, I don't want that. I don't want that to happen again. I don't want to come up and have an idea or a song I think is fantastic, and now I can't use it. Essentially, because someone else has that, you know. It's like, that's whack. I don't want to be known for that. You know what I'm saying? So it was more anxiety based of, I've never done this. You know, I don't think I know what I'm doing, even though like I go over the G or have Chase listen to all these songs I've been making.
You make great beats though, man.
Well, and a lot of people say that, and it's like, I don't know. I'm just throwing shit out here, and it sounds good, and I'm like, hell yeah, that hits. And I've gotten a lot. I'm trying to learn a lot more, just because, like you said, it is fun to do that stuff when you're on a lull. But it's like, I don't know. To me, it's like, is this going to sound good? Am I going to put this out and people are all going to be like, damn, bro, that sounded like garbage, just all around, front to back. What were you doing? Do you know it's like that? To me is where all my shit comes.
Yeah, I remember you said that on that song Phobic we did. Yeah. One of your lyrics is like putting out music and having it be shitty. It's like a fear.
Yeah,
fear. No, I totally understand.
you know, and that one was like more so because it's like, you know, what if people are like, yeah, your lyrics are good, but that beat fucking sucks.
I know. That's what gets me too, that it's like, I'm always going to be almost there, but there's going to be like something that isn't right. And then people are going to be like, oh, it's not listenable. Like everything about this is great, but you like fucked up the levels in this way. So like, I don't want to listen to it.
Yeah. And I got really, like with that one, the Halloween, I got really, I try to get to, because I just want to finish an album and put it out. You know what I'm saying? But I got to schedulely, like if I don't get this done by this day, then I'm fucked. And if I don't get this done by this day, then I'm screwed. And then that just piles on stress that you don't really.
Yeah, no,
that's. And it's like instantly, you know, that age-old problem of the one song that's almost at, I bet now is at 2,000 streams is the song I recorded and wrote and made the week of.
I know.
Like
that's always how it goes.
Yeah, I want one more song on this album. Fuck it, I'm gonna put one more, and that's the one that's like organically just took off. People listen to and they like.
I was on a poetry like a poetry slam team, and you know we practiced the same poems fucking like over and over and over again for months. And the poem that got us like into this sort of like next level of competition was something that two of the guys on our team wrote that day because they were pissed about other people's poems, and they were just like, fuck this, we're writing a response. And then they just like read it off paper, which nobody else there is doing. And that was like the one. And it was like written 2 hours before, as opposed to like 6 months before and practiced 200 times.
Yeah, there's definitely something to just going with the flow.
Yeah, totally. You gotta like, it's a scary thing to do, but you gotta do it.
Yeah, there have been plenty of times, or whether it's with Chase and Shep stuff, where we start planning, and then we just get in our own way and nothing gets done. But
right, totally
doing shit, you know, more shit starts getting done, and it's more fun. It's more creative, you know.
Right.
You get to flex these creative muscles a little more than you would. And I was that way back in school. Like, you know, there'd be a project due, and they'd be like, "Oh, well, here's time in class to work on it." And I wouldn't. You know, I just wouldn't work on it. I wouldn't work on it. It'd be too much to sit down and think. Like it was just. But the night before, I could bust that whole thing out and still get an A+. You know, because I knew in my head what I was going to write when it was time to write it.
Sure.
But you know, in the moment, they're like, "Okay, well, now I'm telling you that you have to work on that right now." That never worked for me.
No, totally.
So as soon as it was on my time, then it was like, "Okay, well, yeah, I got this," and I just
real
quick.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting.
I did that. I don't know if you remember your Going Away show, and we did that new track that me and you had, and I
the relationship one.
Yeah, the date song, and I got like
date night
into it, and I was like, and then I was like, oh shit, and I just started just freestyling, like fuck it, I know where the hook comes back in.
So we talked a lot about creativity. To pivot a little bit, what are some ways you deal with depression, like outside of a creative outlet? Because everything we're talking about now, I know for me, like going with the flow helps a lot in that creativity, but also, I'll punch you with the Facebook money today.
The Zuck Bucks are in. Bless them.
Threw me off. The fuck was I just talking about?
You were pivoting.
Pivoting because we're going with the flow. That's right. And going with the flow in life usually helps me whenever I find myself in a depressive rut.
The
more I try to get out of it, the harder it is. But the moment I just kind of let go is when it's a little easier to get out.
Yeah, no, that's what I've been. I mean, I'm in therapy, and like the style of therapy that I'm doing is like, when you're depressed, you're not supposed to try to make yourself not depressed. You're just supposed to kind of like do the things you would want to do regardless of whether you're so it's like you're not supposed to just like sit around being depressed, but it's kind of like, oh, if I like what I would like to do right now is go to dinner with friends. So like I'm going to do that even though I'm not going to enjoy it because I'm depressed, but like I'm still going to like do the things I would do. But you're not supposed to be like, oh, how can I think of things differently? Or like, what can I do to like become less sad? Or like, you're just supposed to kind of like live your life in spite of, like, instead of fighting it.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I dig it.
The way I heard it described,
It's hard, but yeah,
it's like fighting your way out of quicksand when it comes to heavy emotions.
exactly.
You have to go with it, and
Right.
You'll come out the other end.
Right.
And I feel like you get a moment, if you kind of go with it, you get a moment to kind of sit in it and process it.
Right.
Yeah.
While you're moving through it.
Right. Yeah.
No, I think yeah. What's that?
I don't know. I was gonna say, like, as far as personally, like, outlets outside of like creativity or music for me, I think basically back to when I'm here for a good time, baby was commenting earlier. For me, a lot of that is like getting out into nature. Is a good way to get out of the negative headspace and the cloudy feeling that I'm in. Wintertime, that's really hard to do though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no, I mean, I think like, I don't know, working out is like really helpful for me. Also, I feel like just shit, like I feel like sometimes, like, I don't know, sometimes I think I'm more complicated than I am. Like sometimes it's just like I think I like feel all these things and it's really just like I need to like get a good night's sleep and eat. Like not that that's like a cure-all for depression, but at all. But I do think like it's good to be like like for me to be mindful of like, oh, I'm feeling shitty. Like when did I last have like some food? And like that kind of stuff makes a difference instead of trying to be like, oh, I feel shitty. I need to like make some major life decision. It's like, no, I need to like fucking eat a sandwich.
Yeah. I tried that often. My counselor gave me a book many, many years ago that totally changed my life. That was The Tao of Pooh that explained Taoism.
I know the Tao of Pooh. Yeah, the Tao of Pooh is dope.
I've read it several times and that opened my eyes to Taoism and stuff like that. And just practice of Wu Wei, which is doing nothing. That whole thing, as soon as I started putting that into practice, my life took such a shift that it's one of those things where it's like, I might not ever be able to explain this to somebody, but it really works. It has really worked for me in all that time of like just letting go in those moments where you feel like you need to fight. Sometimes just, let it be. And sometimes the right stuff will come out of it.
Like a lot of when I describe some of the therapy I do, it like sounds to people like my therapist is like a sadist. Like it'll be like listen to a song that makes you upset. And like that's it. Like that's what you do. It's like what kind of like fucked up, but it's like you're supposed to like you listen to it and like you're upset and you don't try to make yourself like feel better, and then like the song ends and then you kind of like go about your day, or like read articles online that will make you feel anxious and shitty about yourself. It's like that feels like anti-therapy, but it's like it's been really helpful when I've started viewing it like, like practicing for a sport is like painful and you're not as good at it, but then you like get better.
True.
Right. I always think of Batman in these scenarios. Like, his biggest thing was his fear of bats, and he head on and made it his own thing. I noticed within myself that I had watched horror movies heavily from like 2007 all the way to 2015. I continued to watch them. The person I was with at that time in my life really wasn't into horror movies. Their family wasn't into horror movies. So I really quit watching them for the most part. I'd sneak one in every now and then. But I felt my real life anxiety was increasing.
That's interesting.
Over the time that I wasn't watching these movies. So now I go back to these movies and I can still watch horror movies, but I'm definitely more squeamish. I'm definitely more like, I can't take as extreme stuff anymore. But at the same time, I do feel less anxious when I put myself through something like that, because it's a controlled environment with the fear, and you're handling fear in a controlled environment.
Right. Exactly.
Into a social scenario.
It's funny. I said I like joked with my therapist once. I was like, I think people get into this kind of therapy just because you're like sickos. And he was like, you joke, but like most of us have like a cabinet that like has a knife and has a needle and has a vial of blood and has like, because it's like all the shit people are scared of that they like.
Okay.
Like it'll be like there'll be people who are like doctors, but they have like a horrible phobia of blood. So they need to like first like watch a video of blood and then like look at blood. And then like there's this like whole things to like get them so they can like fulfill what they want to do, which is become a doctor. But in the process, the therapist is like kind of torturing them with this thing that they're scared of till they can like
blood on your forehead now.
Yeah, like for real. Until like right, if you're scared of spiders, like eventually they'll put a spider on you.
I feel like you worded it really well earlier about feeling like you overcomplicate yourself, and just because I feel like that's how I describe it for myself as well. Like just those moments of like I feel like there's more wrong than in the moment where it's like maybe if I just go to sleep or if I eat some food or do this, I'd be fine. And just having to that's where that kind of going with the flow kicks in of just like
Totally
having to remind myself like the choices are not all of this. The choices are these. Like here's what you can do. Something simple, or don't even think about it completely.
right. No, totally.
And that's not to say avoid those feelings. That's a whole other. But like instead of avoiding feelings, avoiding the worry, the excessive worry.
Right. Exactly. You don't have to draw conclusions that the feelings are a sign that you're living your life wrong or that you'll always be upset or whatever. It's just like it is what it is.
Well, if you feel like your life's wrong, it's just like there ain't too much you can do, right? That's very
that too. Yeah, exactly.
It's just like don't be too hard on yourself in those
right.
times. Like you can wake up the next day and start your plan.
Right.
And I don't know. I overcomplicate myself a lot too, so I vibe a lot with what we're saying here. I mean, I think it's just because a lot of that, like for me, a lot of it is too that like there's just so much shit out now that's not probably good for us, but it's out there. So like I'll be at work and I'll be like, fuck, dude, like I'm having like terrible anxiety right now. Like I feel like something terrible is about to go wrong and I don't know what it is and why am I feeling like this and stuff. And then it's like, oh yeah, I drank a 16-ounce energy drink today and I haven't ate anything.
Totally. No, totally.
I bet it's that. I bet if I ate like a slice of bread right now in 20 minutes, I'd calm the fuck down and be like, okay, all right, nothing bad's about to happen. But I think, some of it might be that,
No, I feel like professionally, the things I've done that I regret the most are like, fuck, I should have eaten lunch. And I'll like snap at somebody. And it'll be like, man, if I had like an apple, I would like not feel so shitty about myself for being like an unprofessional prick.
I've been having that happen lately a lot to me is feeling like weird feelings of guilt. You know what I'm saying? Like, or like, oh man, I shouldn't have been, I felt like I was mean to that person. I shouldn't have been mean, but it's like for little things that are not.
Dude, it's like my whole shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's guilt. That's the one.
I don't know, man. I'm not, it hasn't really ever been a thing with me beforehand. It's been something that's like very recently I've noticed this within myself that it's just like, damn, like I feel guilty. But then it's like when I sit and I really try to process it and think, it's like, no, like I feel like I was in the right, for like what I said or anything like that. So it's like I shouldn't feel guilty about this right now at all, but I do. I hate that. It's like I don't know why.
I feel guilty. Like that's like my emotion.
It's fear for me. I know a lot of my mental health problems stem out of fear. And some of them can be irrational. And I find myself thinking sometimes like I'm a much more timid driver than I used to be. And I just think to myself when I'm driving sometimes like, what? Like, when did I get to this point where fear played such a big factor into my life? Where there's things that like I can't even drive without thinking of the worst case scenario sort of. And it's just in every little facet of life. That's what I've had to overcome the most. I feel.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And especially like, I don't know, man. The older I've gotten, I'm not a timid driver, but like, I don't know. You change over time, and there's things that like I'd see people do now that I did when I was probably 20-something. I'd be like, slow the fuck down, type thing. And then you're like, damn, I'm old.
I I was going to mention as well with like, I feel like a lot of people these days jump to the overcomplicating themselves and just being like, oh, I got to do 5,000 things. Because
Right.
like I just noticed, especially in the past like few weeks, like our culture altogether is just so fast. You know, like these days, and like there will be little things that happen like with people in my life where I'll just be like, yo, can you not wait? Like it's a commercial or it's, you know, it's this or that. Like it wasn't that long ago where this was life. Like we had to watch commercials before the show started again. It's
No,
like,
I know that's interesting.
no, but like the way people act, they're like, no, now these days.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like it's becoming more and more apparent to me. Like it's been this way for a time, but it's just getting worse and worse and worse. But it's those moments that like you can slow down. That's when it's a lot easier to be able to tell yourself, "Oh, I just need to eat or sleep or whatever," and you're not turning it into 50,000.
It's funny.
Right.
It's funny you say that because I find myself doing that, and like but I'll catch myself. But yeah, it's like I'll be watching something in a minute, a minute 15 ads come on, and I'm like, God damn it! But then it's like, bro, I remember those TV shows that used to have like 5 minutes straight commercial. And you're like, God, is this ever gonna come back on? Like shit. So it's like you gotta, yeah, we are really fast, and people forget fast, and they move on fast, and it's crazy. It is crazy when you look at culture as a whole.
We get accustomed to new things very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah.
Because I know that like with my depression, there's so many things I don't deal with because I'm not on social media, and I get told all the time, "Oh, you need to get on social media."
Oh, no, that's smart.
And I'm just not. I'm on Snapchat, and it's pretty much my close people on Snapchat. Um, and because of that, I've been off of it for so long that I'll hear people talking about shit that I'm like, what? I forget that's even a thing. I wouldn't even know drama about so and so because I'm just minding my own over here. Unless somebody
All right.
texts me and tells me, "Oh, hey, did you hear this?" Like my gossip comes from like phone calls with my mom or some shit. Like it's like what's going on back in hometown. Just shit like that. Where when you're constantly being bombarded with information on the internet, like yeah, you're gonna be a little bummed out. I'd say.
Yeah, no, totally.
And social media is weird too because people get, we surround ourselves with how we view ourselves.
Right.
And so, like I saw someone on Facebook today being, in my opinion, an absolute dick. Like you're being a dick right now. But they had their circle up in there, giving hurrahs and patents on the backs and stuff like that because that's who they can surround themselves with. And it's just like I think social media has definitely given overinflated egos to a lot of people due to that kind of stuff.
Well, it's like people say one of the worst effects from social media is everyone's envious of each other. Like you feel like a strong envy because everybody's putting their best foot forward.
Yeah.
So you like see someone like people are just posting their accomplishments or like, people don't post pictures fighting with their spouse, right? Like they post pictures smiling with their spouse.
That was
So
the
it's
other
like,
thing I
yeah.
was thinking was the shit. You're taking in all this information, but also when you don't have it, like for me, I don't feel like I have to say anything because you don't. Like on certain topics, everybody sometimes feels like, oh, I gotta get this off my chest. If you're upset about something, one of us, we might sit down and write a song or a movie or what have you to process those emotions. But most people are like, well, I got a Facebook, so I'm just gonna process these emotions in public to all of these people. And sometimes that's not the best place to do that.
Mm-hmm. I think the draw for artists to social media, though, is that we ultimately, like, as artists, we don't want to say things just to ourselves or just to our notebook, right? Like, we want to say things and have people hear them and have people react to them. So I think, like, I agree with you. Like, like, if I'm upset, I don't usually feel the need to, like, talk about it on social media too much. But if I think of something that's clever, I'm like, oh, I gotta put it on because it's like, otherwise it like doesn't count. It's like if a tree falls, right? It like doesn't count.
I call it the E-clout. People need the E-clout.
The what?
The E-clout.
Clout, yeah, exactly.
E-clout. The internet clout. Everybody needs that, the little E.
Yeah, for sure.
But not like I don't know, man. I I don't comment on shit on social media myself, and I do feel like with the younger generation, it's been a more of a little bit of a shift with how they use like social medias and stuff because like they use it and they'll be like, I'm just a shit poster. I just post memes. I just shit post. So it's like they do give their opinion, but at the same time, like they're not using it like, other people like the older generations using it for, which now they're all using it for memes and fucking.
No, I can't.
But no, like I like these kind of conversations when I'm dealing with any sort of topics, like big name topics or real big thinking topics, something I want to on. I like having these, the ones that like, your opinion is not going to cause me to berate you.
That's how I feel too.
Yeah, and it's chill. We're actually just sharing ideas. Like a great example of that, when and how I feel like change gets made and stuff like that. It's like I had a conversation with a guy at work the other day. Just randomly got on the topic of following too close to people and stuff, and I was telling him a story of some lady thought I was following too close to her, and I was on one. I gave the middle finger in response because she's telling me to back off, and she slammed on her brakes, and I was like, I thought that was uncalled for, and he's like, well, you're following too close, and I'm like, well, what is too close? Like I think my definition of too close, and your definition of too close, and someone else's definition of too close, and someone that lives in a city versus someone that lives in a farm. It's all going to be different, but then like after that, I was, like I said, I drove to Indianapolis and back twice this weekend to pick my son up and take him back. And it got me thinking when I was driving there about, well, how close am I driving too close to people? Maybe I am driving too close to people. Maybe I'm just like, maybe that's the first person in, 20 some years of driving that kind of told me back the fuck off. You're too, but I don't feel like I changed anything, but it's like to have that sort of process in my head and think on it. It causes the awareness.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel that. Yeah.
I like to have, on social media, you don't get that. You don't get the conversations that give you the awareness. This is my opinion. I'm right. Fuck you, you piece of shit. I'm right. And I don't like that. It's like, no, that's not how we're going to get anybody to think deeper on things.
Because you can't know what you're doing wrong if you don't know what you're doing wrong, how are you going to change it? Somebody needs to say something, and it's just in the way that you take that information.
Mm-hmm.
But like you're saying, there are definitely those people who like just shout at you because you did something wrong, rather than saying, "Hey, this is what you did wrong," and I wanted to inform you. They take a much more aggressive approach to it.
I've just always walked away when it's like, if I have a conversation with somebody and they're like, no, I'm right and you're wrong. Like my opinion's right and yours is wrong. Whatever. Like you can say whatever you want. I'm still gonna believe me because I'm right. Like what I know. What I know. It's like no. Like if you're just like this is my opinion, cool. This is your opinion, cool. They differ, but like let's talk about them and like see where they line. I walk away from those conversations still thinking about what they were talking about. It makes me think deeper. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not outright cutting me down saying, nope, you're wrong. I'm right. We're different. We have different opinions on it. Let's have a discussion. And when we're done with it, you walk away and you keep, to me, it's always about keep processing it and thinking, moving stuff around. But yes, I know. And it's ironic, yes, I know, because we are on social media streaming right now.
It's the air we breathe.
It is in the air we breathe. Yeah. I mean, what can I say?
Well, it's getting to be about that time. So what are the closing thoughts tonight, boys?
Don't be too hard on yourself. I feel like, and don't be too hard on others. Maybe those two things. I think those are important.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah, I do. We don't know what other people are going through ever. And I don't think that means we should treat everybody like they might be depressed or
right. Totally.
But
it's like we fuck up, other people fuck up, everybody fucks up.
Yeah,
just being more understanding. Really. Understanding can help in a lot of different facets of life, whether it's
Right.
with relationships or just even with your own self and your understanding of the world. It can just make life a little easier when you have more perspective on things.
Perspective, awareness. Just
Mhm.
just be aware that everyone has their own emotions and feelings and thoughts, and they are themselves.
And of course, feel your feelings. Don't.
Yes, yes. And Rhoda, I know you're all over the place, and people can just search Rhoda to find you, like music.
Oh. Yeah, so I mean, search Rota. I mean, Rota on Spotify. The album is Some Sort of Time Machine. It's also, I think, on the MC Rota on socials. So on Instagram and Twitter. SoundCloud is just /MC Rota. Hit me up.
I'm on old Rogue Tendency tracks.
Rogue Tendency. I know we should do another show.
We should do another show. We should do another album. We should do the works.
Dude, just say the word. I've been looking for a reason to come down there anyway.
Yeah, I got you, man. Me and G have been making some new songs, so I'll have to be like, what can we extend here? What can we get the man on?
Is Yanya still recording?
I don't know.
He's like a world famous battle rapper.
Mage is doing his thing.
Awesome.
He's got his beautiful daughter that he's raising. That's all I
Yeah.
see from him is just tired, man. Newborn.
I bet.
Probably real. I do think though. I don't know if Pudgy's still in the chat, but I do think right now would be the prime time because all original members of the Green Team are all now dads, and I think we should make a dad fucking album as like the first album in over a decade.
What's up?
Yeah. What's up? That'd be a good one. But Rhoda, it's been great talking with you.
Yeah, awesome talking to you guys. Thanks so much for having me on.
No problem, man. Everybody check out
great to meet you too.
his old shit because it's all really good. It's real dope shit. His poems are fantastic. They'll make you think.
All right.
All right. Peace out, brother.
Later.
Much love.
Much love.
Smooches and deuces, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next Monday.